This chapter brought to you by Antihero. Yeah, I didn't really have anything to write, and I didn't really want to start a new chapter. The even chapters are always from another character's point of view than Hua's, and I never know what I'm going to do until I do it, and I'm too tired to really to even try. And so, even though this chapter was basically finished, I just wanted to get her reaction out. Because, like I have said, this isn't a Cinderella with an abusive family, and so her reaction to like not being able to go to the ball is something that I just wanted to like write out and know. But another thing that I have been talking about is how this is a writing style that I've used before, but it's not one that I recognise as my own, and it's not one that I like. And I did find that kind of half draft of chapter 1 that I wrote a few years ago, I remember it being more comfortable for me. And so I just want to show you a little bit of both this one. It's a different excerpt than I showed you last time, and what is it's most likely to turn out to be like in revision. Good morning. I should not have looked at that previous draft. So I would say that this album and the thing overall is a bit too cheery for the mood of Cinderella, but I cannot bear it. I really, really hate this project now. So at least I'm gonna listen to some good music that I love. So the very little amount of writing I got done last night was probably the best insofar as like character work. Chronic fatigue is a bitch. And sometimes you write things and it's like going to therapy. And yeah, I have been avoiding writing Nano today. And I don't think that's going to change in the next hour or so, but I do know that I need to get back to it. So, God, I just don't want after that. So one of the reasons why this is so hard is because I am not happy with it, and I am also writing other things in tandem, and those other things are both better and also kind of on a timeline. One was We Have Infinite Time on This Earth, which comes from just like, we have infinite time on this earth, I just want to spend it with you, to give you a sense of like the mood of the piece, which is grief and loss and wishing things had been different, and kind of knowing that even if you had the chance you wouldn't change them. And it is thankfully like the older Cinderella draft, writing style wise. And also there was something that Saint S.D. Gibson wrote about like a gothic Christmas, and I was like, oh, there's a mood, and that's why you got to see a little bit of Tamino. I don't think that's how you pronounce his name, I'm really sorry. because that is very much a mood for it. And which is really exciting because it's creepy and gothic and there isn't really an explanation for why things are like that. In the sense of like fairy tale logic, you know? It's like, oh, this is it, this is the monster because this is what the monster does. And it's really fun. And also, apparently, it's the second week in November. I was supposed to get a chapter up of my free to read serialized fiction, Keep My Eye on the Chamber Door, last week. I'm not time blind, I'm just not good at being a person in the world. Yike. I think I'm gonna have to go to sleep and not think about what I just said. But yeah, that's it's so frustrating. I really every time I go to write Cinderella, it's like think of what you could be doing. Anyway, Cinderella's going the way this looks, but you know what? At least this feels good when I do it. Yeah, so after all that fuss, yesterday was actually my best writing day in terms of like actual word count. 2,531. Amazing, honestly. And it was actually really good because we actually had Juan get together and talk, and that's really the biggest interaction that she's had with any of her sisters. It was very sweet and caring and something that I should have done long before, but also makes sense to have not done before because it really ties in with the fact that Hua is just an ill person and she hasn't spent much time with her sisters recently because she has been ill. But it also kind of, yeah, like her sisters have noticed that she's not been spending as much time with them, and it's really nice that they do still want to spend time with her. The thing that kind of worried me was that it turned out I had her sister who had been like, yeah, these are the plans for the full moon, you're not invited in these plans, to then be like, no, you're going to come and you're going to spend the time with me. We won't be dancing at this celebration. We'll get some food and we'll have like a picnic under the stars in the gardens, and you know, it'll be a good time all around. So then I had to break that up. I say I had to break that up like it was a conscious decision and not just the words doing what the words wanted to do. But yeah, so like the first scene, I think in the little excerpts that I've let you see so far, she's been getting into trouble, which is because she keeps. Listen, I, as a sewer who is also not very well, I have sewn in my bed before, and I don't recommend it because you do lose needles and it is not good. So Hua has done that, and someone else has gotten hurt, and so she has effectively been grounded, and her sister has been like recruited for babysitting duties. And I wrote that, and I was like, well, I do actually really like what I've written, but this is bad. What are we doing? Because I can't just have Hua disobey her mother. The good thing is, though, so far today, I've written 1,363. I've solved that. One of my ideas yesterday was, why don't we just send the prince? Why doesn't Doll just mention to the prince that this has happened and the prince goes? And I was like, yeah, but then that also, if he knows where she lives, then that kind of ruins the whole slipper thing, which I don't think I wasn't planning on doing the slipper thing, but that does kind of ruin it. I think I've solved that as well. So they met yesterday and I was really annoyed with myself. I was like, we needed another chapter between this, but it's kind of working out alright. They met, they don't know who the other one is. I was also like, oh god, this is dragging out so long, and they don't get along as well. They don't have that chemistry that he did with her sister, but this chapter is really going well in terms of that. Hua really loves stories, the ones her mother told her, and so they're bonding a little bit, and that's really nice. Also, I don't like the writing that much, but it is getting better. And like the characterization is kind of getting more firmed up. So you are going to get a little bit of a snippet. But yeah, I don't know, with like once Nano is done, I think I will still be aiming for more of a like first draft kind of vibe. So we've just dealt with like the aftermath of the ball. This is not how I wanted it to go at all. It's kind of bonkers it's went this way. And there are really nice moments in it, but there's also like just the sense of like, oh, none of this is going to stay. It would have been nice as well if they had like just the two of them had a dance, but that's not what I wrote. And so yeah, it's a mess. It's a big mess. I have 2 more prompts to go, which is for, of course, Hua's chapters and exclusively hers, and I don't know how this is going to go. Prince ain't doing well because they got caught in the rain and he's really, really sick. They're both really sick, and if there was any like realism to this, which you would think considering the kind of world building that I was aiming for, um, then they'd both probably be dead with like pneumonia or something. Yeah, so it's going to be someone else's chapter now, and I don't know whose. I got over 3,000 words yesterday, and I think that's going to have to do a lot of work for today as well. So the thing that I intended to film saying is that the majority of the book in that first draft was going to be post-ball, and I don't know what the fuck is going to happen with this draft. Well, this video is probably going to be late because it's 20 to 9 now, but I really like the last chapter that I worked on yesterday. Oh boy. Sip did not spell. I really like that, but we are very much running out of road. The original draft had a lot more going on after the ball, but this one does not, and I can't really reconcile that. Like it kind of occurred to me because, you know, freedom of access is a thing that I care about very much. So I was always planning on like doing my ebooks on like a store where it's pay what you will. And I think I could polish this one up, and it's enough of its own thing that I could just throw it onto the internet in some capacity. But it's very much not the story that I wanted to tell, and I can't. I currently have 31,567 words. It's the most I've ever done for Nano, and I'm very happy with that. There is not enough in this to get to 50. So I think what I'm going to do in the next video is less like chapter by chapter writing updates and more like an overview of what is going to happen to this and what is going to happen to the original idea.